Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Wealth After Work, the show committed to bringing you in and through your retirement successfully. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is Ralph Grosso. He is the president and founder of ASC Financial Group. We've got a great show for you today. The title of today's show is Inflation Unmasked, the Hidden Tax You Can't Ignore. Ralph, my friend, great to be back in the studio with you. How are you today?
I am awesome, Kristen, and it's great to be with you today, too.
Well, thank you. I always enjoy these chats together. They're so informative and really helpful, and I love your passion and your care for folks. And we know that a lot of people are really struggling right now, especially with inflation, so this is going to be an important conversation.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, here's the reality. If inflation is not addressed, it's a huge financial concern that can really derail someone's retirement plan. And it's really important to understand kind of where we are right now. There's so much noise out there with the news and the media, but really what it comes down to is what's actually going on with inflation, and most importantly, what does it mean for you, and what are the solutions available so that you can combat it proactively? So when folks come to meet with you for the first time, how often does this conversation, the subject of inflation come up?
You know, Kristen, it comes up all the time. Unfortunately, a lot of advisors out there really aren't addressing the problem. And, you know, when we look at inflation, we have to understand that inflation is demographic, okay? And what age group, what demography has the most inflation? Retirees.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't think of it that way. But explain why that is.
Yeah, so you look at, you know, cost of health care. Things that we did when we were younger, we might have to pay someone to do when we're older, right? I have a neighbor, John, he's 81 years old, and the guy's in pretty good shape, right? And I drive home one day, and I pull into my driveway, I look over at the house, and there he is on a ladder cleaning out his gutters.
Oh, bless.
And I'm like yelling, John, what in the world are you doing? And he's going, Ralph, I had someone come and give me an estimate. They wanted $500. I'm not going to pay that kind of money to have my gutters cleaned out. I'm doing it myself. And so things like that, we don't realize we're going to have to pay.
Yes.
And so it affects the retirement community more than any other demographic segment.
Right. And especially because then when in retirement, typically you're on a fixed income, and we're going to talk more about that throughout the show too. But really, I mean, I think all folks have to do is go to the grocery store, right? Or go fill up their car with gas. And inflation is staring you straight in the face. So let's talk about some averages and numbers, because I think that really can put this problem of inflation into perspective.
Yeah. So I have a list here. Groceries as a whole, up 22%.
And we should clarify, this is since the beginning of 2021 that these numbers are up. Okay.
Till now. Thank you. Groceries up 22%. Meat, poultry, fish up 23%. Baking goods up 27%. White bread up 24%. Cereal up 23%. Gasoline up 51%. Electricity, 32%. Airfares, 23%. Rent, 22%. Eggs, a whopping 47%. Car insurance, up 54%. I mean, we don't normally buy airfares, but almost everything on here is what you and I and the folks out there watching today, this is what we're buying each and every day.
Yep. Well, and a lot of folks who are retiring are wanting to finally go ahead and travel. That's where the airfare can hit them, right?
That's true,
So, I mean, it's insane. And yet, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, since 2021, prices have gone up as a whole on average 20.2%, but the real average weekly wages are down 3.9%. Now, here's why this is such a problem, especially for retirees, because you're on a fixed income, like we said, and at the 100-year average, the long-term historical rate of inflation has been around 3% per year. So at that long-term average rate, it takes roughly 22 years for the amount of income you need to double. But Ralph, 22 years, and yet how long are people living in retirement now?
Exactly. So we take a look at, you know, for our parents, the challenge was making it to retirement.
Yes.
The challenge today for those of us that are nearing retirement, it's making it through retirement.
Yes.
You know, I have, someone that's 65 today, male, 18-year life expectancy. Female, 21-year life expectancy.
In retirement,
in
right?
retirement,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And listen to this: a married couple, one of them will be celebrating their 93rd birthday.
Right.
So when we look at that time span, and then you calculate inflation, well, we have some concerns that need to be addressed.
Well, because here's the problem. Since we're living longer than we ever have before, again, long-term historical rate of inflation, 3%. At that rate, let's say you need $100,000 to live off of right now. That means that 22 years from now, you would need $200,000 in order to buy the same amount of goods and services that you're buying today. But the problem is with where inflation has been in recent years, significantly higher. Now the cost of living could easily double 2 or 3 times throughout someone's retirement, and that has to be planned for.
And the question is, are you planning for that? Are you taking that into consideration in the plan that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the issue, too. If inflation continues to persist, once prices go up, they typically don't go back down. You know, Ralph, we love analogies on this show, right? And one that I think of when I think of inflation is, let's say that someone gains 50 pounds one year, and then the next year they only gain 10 pounds. And they think, yay, I've only gained 10 pounds this year. That doesn't negate the 50 pounds you gained the year before, right? That's kind of how inflation works.
Yeah, and you see, averages don't affect us day to day.
Right.
We don't go based on averages.
Yeah.
Right? And so we really need to have a plan that's put into place. And, if you're watching today and you're concerned about inflation and you're wondering, I've met with an advisor, I have, a plan put together. You know what? I would encourage you maybe to get a second opinion. Let's take a deeper dive and see, I think inflation is here to stay. How is that going to affect you? And so I'm just going to encourage you today to give us a call, come in for a no obligation, complimentary second opinion so that we can take a look and see, hey, how is inflation going to affect you and the dreams and wants that you have in retirement? So I'm going to encourage you to give us a call so we can take a look at that.
Wonderful. Ralph, thank you. I know we have a lot more to get into on today's show, but if any of this is resonating with you, if you're already working with another financial advisor and they are not having these kinds of conversations with you, it's time to get that second opinion. And we say a lot here that you can't get a second opinion from the same person who gave you the first. So the invitation is for no cost, no charge, no obligation to call the number you see on the bottom of your screen and come in for your very own complimentary retirement income analysis with the team of ASC Financial Group. 844-918-4867 is that number to call, or you're also welcome to take out your smartphone, and if you open up that camera app, you can point, click, and scan the QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. We'll be back with more on today's important conversation around inflation and what it means for you right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Wealth After Work. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Ralph Grasso. He is the president and founder of ASC Financial Group. And today's show is all about inflation. We're calling it the hidden tax you can't ignore. And I want to start off this segment, Ralph, by just asking, when folks come in and meet with you and you put together a retirement income plan for them, how do you go about factoring in inflation and accounting for it?
Yeah, so, we look at it, our philosophy is preserve the principal, live off of the interest. It's about maximizing interest so that we do not have to spend down principal. Now, if we can achieve that, and 90% of the time we can achieve that, we don't have to spend that principal. The principal will be there to take care of things like inflation, like healthcare costs, or needs that might come up unexpectedly. So the way we want to position our clients is that they're not spending down principal. And unfortunately, Kristen, that is what we find. We see many people having to spend down principal to make up their income because cost of living has gone up.
Right.
So it's about maximizing income. And that's where the retirement income analysis comes into play.
Right.
We do this analysis for folks to show them on their current plan, are they maximizing their income? And then there's a universe of strategies out there that'll do just that and will reduce risk at the same time. So it's about maximizing income, reducing risk.
And I was going to say, all those pieces fitting together and working in harmony is really what makes the difference.
It is. We have to take all of these puzzles, and it could be a little overwhelming to most folks, but this is the world we work in. I had someone come in to see us not too long ago. Her name was Brenda and Rob, and they were looking to retire early.
Okay.
In their late 50s. So, we're planning for a 30-year retirement.
Right.
And we put them into a plan that not only gave them a predictable guaranteed income, but each year, based on the market, if the market went up, their income goes up. But if the market goes down, their income stays the same.
Wow.
And so we know what the market did last year. And we had a really good return. And she calls me on the phone and said, Ralph, something's wrong, because we deposit the money right into the account.
Okay.
And she gave me a call and she said, Ralph, there's been an increase in my payment that's come. I don't understand that. And I'm like, Brenda, remember we've set this plan up that will give you increases. And what she said to me, she said, this is so reassuring to know that I've got additional income, because honestly, our expenses have gone up. And so again, if that's you today, if you're concerned about inflation eroding your purchasing power, give us a call so that we can put an analysis, a strategy together for you that will address this hidden tax of inflation.
And I love that story. And it goes back to something you said in the first segment, which I think is really important to highlight again, that inflation is a demographic issue. It's been said that inflation's not an equal opportunity offender. Really what that means, Ralph, is that it doesn't affect two people the same way, because it depends on several factors, but particularly for retirees on a fixed income, they're the ones who are really feeling the crush of the weight of inflation in today's marketplace.
Absolutely, Kristen, and that's why it's imperative to make sure we're addressing these issues, because not only will it affect things that you want to do, but it's going to affect the needs, what I need to meet my budget month in and month out.
Yeah. Well, and I know you love helping folks put together a plan to help them accomplish not just what they need. Obviously, that's important. It has to do that. But also what people want to do. It's helping people figure out their dreams. You're not telling people what they can't do. You're actually putting together a plan to help folks say, yes, you can do this. It's almost giving permission. I know I've talked about that with your son, Josiah, before. A lot of times folks, they need to be given permission to actually spend their hard-earned money and say, okay, you're going to be okay. You can spend this money now and be confident you're not going to run out later in life.
Yeah, I always say to folks that come in to see us, you saved for a rainy day. Well, now's the rainy day, right? And so let's enjoy our retirement. We've worked so hard over our lifetime accumulating these assets. And like you said, let's give them permission to spend it, knowing that they're not going to run out of money. They're not going to spend down their principal.
Right. Well, I'm sure you also meet with a lot of folks who have been do-it-yourselfers, right? Those do-it-yourself investors. And often that can be easier to do during the accumulation years when you're working, you're still contributing, and you're saving as much as you possibly can. But that important shift happens when it's time to come down the mountain, if you will, to preserve what you've saved, but also to then generate income for yourself. So what would you say to someone who's watching and realizing, yeah, I have been doing this on my own, but I could really use some help figuring out this next phase? Yeah,
and look with what's happened in the marketplace over the past 10, 15 years, we've had some tremendous growth. It's sometimes we can get into a place of, complacency and think, this is going to continue. But when we're in retirement, we've got to take a better look. And you're right. There are people that are saying, hey, I've been doing this myself, but there comes a time when maybe I should have some advice on how to do that. And we can do that in a no obligation, complimentary analysis of your financial situation. So I want to encourage you to pick up the phone, give us a call, and come and meet with the team. Have us take a look at what you've been doing. Let us give you some suggestions on how you can better position yourself for income to combat this inflationary period.
Wonderful. Ralph, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call to claim your very own complimentary retirement income analysis from Ralph and the team of ASC Financial Group is 844-918-4867. Or again, you're also welcome to scan that QR code, and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. You can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Wealth After Work. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Ralph Grosso, and a very important conversation we've been having today all about inflation, what you need to understand about it right now, what it means for you. And really, it stems with having a proactive plan in place to help you combat it, to be confident that you're not going to outlive your money in retirement. Before the break, Ralph, we were talking about how one of the most fun parts of your job is when folks come in and they share their dreams with you. And by putting a plan together, you're able to help them have permission, if you will, to spend their money and to actually make their dreams a reality. Any recent client stories come to mind?
Yeah,
share?
Kristen, we had a couple come in about a year ago, Jack and Cindy. And when we sat down, met with them, they called in. They were looking to retire. But here's what happened. Their daughter moved to Utah.
Okay.
And they had 5 children. That were her 5 grandchildren, right? And when we talked about, you know, what are our dreams? What are our wants? She said, I want to move to Utah. And I want to be near my grandchildren. And I said to her, well, let's see what we can do. And she felt like, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Well, after we went through their current situation and we began to look at some strategies to give her predictable, guaranteed income, she was able to see that, hey, I can go to Utah, I can buy a house, I can get qualified, because she was going to have to take a mortgage, but I could get qualified based on the plan you put together, right? And I remember the phone call I got, and you know, we're all packed, we're moving, we're going to Utah. Thank you so much, because we did not think this was a possibility. And it is.
That's amazing. And really, that's what it's about. There's no 2 situations that are alike. There's no 2 plans, therefore, that you put together that are alike. This isn't a cookie-cutter approach. You know, what might be one person's dream isn't someone else's dream, but your job is to take each individual and then put together a plan that meets them and their needs.
Yeah, and it's so gratifying when you can do that and accomplish that and see people's lives improve as we move forward.
For sure. Well, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this next piece of the inflation puzzle. And really, it's been said that inflation is the hidden tax, and that inflation is the hidden tax and taxes are the hidden inflation. There you go. That's a mouthful to get out. But really, you know, the problem of inflation is compounded by taxation. So talk a little bit about what that statement means and how these 2 pieces have to be planned for together.
Okay. So most folks are retiring with a tax-deferred vehicle, like an IRA, like a 401k. And now they're in retirement and they begin to take income out. Or they have to take their required minimum distribution.
Which is now is age 73 for
age
folks,
73.
Right? Yeah.
So they're taking this out, and let's say it's $1,000, and they're in a 20% tax bracket. Well, that $1,000 comes out, they don't get $1,000, they get $800, right? And then let's say tax rates go up, and now that tax rate is 30%. Well, they're taking that $1,000, but they're actually netting $700, okay? And that's the devastating effect of taxes. And then you couple that with the purchasing power being eroded because of inflation, and now we're compounding the problem.
Right, yeah.
And you know, today we have a national debt. The government's national debt is over $35 trillion.
And counting. It's gone up while the show's been airing, right?
Every 3 months, it's another $1 trillion. It's becoming unsustainable. And then along with that, we say, look, do you think tax rates are going to be higher in the future? Do you think they're going to be a lot higher? Do you want to pay those higher rates? Inflation. Inflation is going to be here. Do you think inflation is going away? And then the combination of higher taxes and higher inflation is only going to lead to more volatility in the stock market. And then when we look at this $35 trillion debt, is it possible that benefits like Social Security and Medicaid can be reduced? And this is why we say to folks, you need to own your own retirement. But if you said yes to any of those questions, I want to encourage you to give us a call and to go through our retirement income analysis. And really what this is a unique, customized analysis that will take all of your financial information and put it on one page. And it'll identify when taxes go up, how is that going to affect my money? It will identify, are you maximizing income? It will identify, What are the fees that you are paying? And then finally, it's going to look at risk. What are the risks you're taking with your money? How much of your money is exposed? And so if you're in retirement or they're nearing retirement, there's even more cause for concern. And so I want to encourage you to pick up the phone, give us a call. Let's start the process together of putting together a solid strategy that addresses all of these areas so that you could have a comfortable retirement and be stress-free in the years, your golden years, as you want to live out the retirement of your dreams.
So well said, Ralph. Thank you for that explanation. And I know that a lot of folks, after hearing that, are going, you know what? I really do need to take a second look at this. And so much of our industry has been focused on those accumulation years, those years when you're putting money away. But we know that there's a lot that goes into that preservation and distribution phase. And this is what you specialize in doing for folks.
We work in the world of the I. You know, we teach our clients this formula, TR equals I plus G. Total return equals your income plus growth. Mm-hmm. And we know that the income is the known factor. Mm-hmm. The growth, it could be loss. Right. But we specialize in the world of the I, in income. Mm-hmm. How do we maximize income without spending down principal? This is such a key area. And most folks are running short when it comes to that. They're not being properly planned to protect and preserve principal and live off the interest.
Right. Yeah, it's all about protecting what you have, and we want you to be able to keep more of your hard-earned money. So, Ralph, for our viewers that might be newer to you, just remind them where you're located and how they can connect with you.
Yeah. So we service the northeast section of Pennsylvania. We have our main offices in the Poconos, in Bartonsville. We have a satellite office up in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. We also have a satellite office in the Lehigh Valley, in Bethlehem. And we also service Northwest New Jersey. And so with those 3 locations, pretty short drive for most folks.
Very convenient, and I'm excited for more folks to get to connect with you as a result of today's show. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. We hope you found this to be valuable and helpful. That's how it's intended each and every week. But again, if any of this resonated with you, if you know that you need a solid income plan in place that's going to combat inflation and all the different things we talked about today, we encourage you to pick up the phone and call that number to claim your very own complimentary retirement income analysis, 844-918-4867. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to being back with you next time here on Wealth After Work.